Ladies and gentlemen, all of you from the Renovation Nation, we'd like to welcome you to the ReModCast with your host, Norm Rieger.
What's going on?
How we doing? So today we have a very fun episode. The episode's titled Contractor Secrets Revealed, and we're going to get to some of those as well. But yeah, fun-filled episode for all you watching at home, and we are live, which reminds me, if you have a question, comment, or concern, you can put it in the comments section, and we can answer it live with you and Norm today.
Let's do it.
How you doing, Norm?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back in the studio. It's been a minute, right?
Yeah.
We haven't been here in a little while. Summer's busy for everybody,
Yep.
Vacations, workload, all that stuff, but it's good to be back in the studio doing the ReModCast.
Absolutely. And now, people need their tips. People need a little more Norm in their life.
Need a little more Norm in their life. I don't know. I got to tell my wife that. But listen, while we're talking about that, look, everybody's. I want to thank the nation out there, not the nation, but the Renovation Nation for all the love and the likes on Facebook and Instagram. But I want to, tell everybody those aren't the only two platforms we're on. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter. Mm-hmm. We are on TikTok, and most importantly, we are on YouTube, where you can see the full ReModCast. Where here you're probably just seeing. A little blurb on Instagram or Facebook, but if I could ask a favor, you guys, please go to YouTube, subscribe, like, comment. It all helps. And we're trying to build a base over there at YouTube. I appreciate everything you've done for me on Instagram and Facebook. Keep spreading, keep tagging, liking, forwarding, sharing. But if you can, follow us on TikTok, follow us on X, and please follow us on YouTube.
Absolutely. So plenty of topics today.
Okay.
I think a good place to start is probably like where the job actually begins, and like you have to get permits before you can even dig a hole, right?
Well, maybe the answer is maybe. So there's certain things that are considered permittable, where the town, the municipality, it's usually regulated by the state. Most of the municipalities follow the state guidelines of what you need a permit for and what you don't. There's two types of permits. There's a building permit and there's a zoning permit. And when I say building permit, I'm kind of grouping a lot of things together. That's building, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, all that falls under the building department of your town. Mm-hmm. But if you're going outside of your house, even if you're creating a porch roof or you're putting up a shed or a fence, never mind an addition, but a pool, a shed, a fence, a portico, anything that's outside of the footprint of your home, then you need zoning approval. But circling back to permits. So what do you need a permit for? What don't you? Mm-hmm. So, painting, of course, you don't need a permit for painting. You don't need a permit for changing your moldings or your interior door, your hardware. Flooring does not need a permit. What used to need a permit that no longer does, which is interesting, roofing, siding, kitchens, and bathrooms.
Interesting.
Now there's a qualifier on that. Kitchen and bathrooms, for you to not have a permit. This is based on a law that was passed in 2018, I believe. Mm-hmm. They decided to make direct replacement kitchen and bathrooms non-permittable. Gotcha. But they're pretty specific about direct replacement and what qualifies as direct replacement. But there's also some gray areas, we like to say. So what they mean by that is, Doug, if I was ripping out your bathroom and I ripped out the bathtub, the sink, the toilet, we gutted it and we put it all back together in the same place, just all new stuff, new lights, new faucets, you don't need a permit for that. But the technicality is that even if you add one recessed light fixture, then technically you need an electrical permit.
Gotcha. But
they're not looking to get you on that. The spirit of the law is if you're taking out the bathroom, you're putting it back together in mostly the same fashion with the same. But if you're taking a bathroom that has a bathtub and you're converting it to a shower, or you're blowing out a wall to make the bathroom bigger, or you're moving the toilet across the room, you need a permit. Same thing with the kitchen. You're gutting a kitchen, throwing it back together in the same place, you're okay. You're moving the gas stove across the room, you're adding a sink to the island. Those are now you need a permit. You're adding light fixtures, you're updating the receptacles, you're adding under cabinet lighting. When you start changing and adding plumbing and electric specifically, or something structural, like you're taking down a load-bearing wall. So a lot of people want to make their kitchen bigger. Open concepts, really popular now. taking down a load-bearing wall not only requires a permit, it requires an architect or an engineer to sign off on how we're supporting that load-bearing wall. Contractor can't do that for you, and you probably can't do it for yourself as a homeowner.
So it sounds like for the load-bearing wall, that would be a safety concern. So they want to make sure you're going through the proper channels to make sure you're taking the proper precautions.
Sure.
So the house doesn't fall down.
Right. You got to have the right pay grade, so to speak, to decide, well, what size beam do I have to hold up the house above me? If it's 8 feet long, it's a different size beam than if it's 18 feet long. If you have a second story above your kitchen, or you just have a ceiling and an attic and a roof above your kitchen, all of those things factor in, and an architect or an engineer are licensed and qualified to make those calculations. Then the town has to accept those calculations.
And then the other one is, so that's one makes sense why you would need a permit for that. And then the other one is, it seems like you would be like, say you're redoing your like kitchen, and maybe you want to expand it and you're taking up more space. Now it's like, oh, are you able to have this much property? Or are you like, or you're adding stuff that we want to make sure it's being added the right way for your property.
Yeah. So more for the plumbing and the electrical. Let's say we're not making your kitchen bigger, like going outside the house. We're just making it bigger inside the house. So you're allowed to make your kitchen as big as you want to. What they're concerned about is, what if you're running a gas line yourself, or you have a handyman who decides, he wants to run a gas line. He's not licensed or educated, hopefully, to run a gas line properly, where you may not have a gas leak, or run a pressurized water line, or run a drain line at the proper pitch. So they want licensed plumbers and licensed electricians to be doing any of additional plumbing or electric work. Just changing a light fixture, you don't really need an electrician. Changing a faucet, you don't need a plumber. But if you're running new electric lines, you're running new plumbing lines, you need licensed professionals, and that's why those require permits.
So then hopefully, I think this is a good question then. So it sounds like I don't just go to the town hall and be like, hey, I want to apply for a permit because I want XYZ done. It sounds like you need to have a signature from the electrician, a signature from the plumber. So all these like things are in place first before you apply for the permit.
Sure. When you get a permit, they have what's called the jacket, right? It's like a manila folder. And inside the manila folder, there's a permit from your contractor or your builder, the person who's not the plumber or electrician. There's a permit for the subcode of electricity. There's a permit for the subcode of plumbing. And if you were doing like HVAC, there'd be another permit for the subcode called mechanical. And not only do those 3 licensed subcodes have to be signed off by the plumber and the electrician, they actually have like a little seal, like a notary, but it's a seal with their license on it. And the town actually feels it to make sure it's raised in order to approve the permit, that it's a legit permit application.
Awesome. So when I was a kid, we added a room to the back of our house.
Okay.
I was probably like 10, 12 years old. We added a room. It was like a living room. I grew up not too far from here, and we had a little house, and we just wanted to put a living room to the back to make it a little more spacious. All I remember, this is a long time ago, is that it was a pain to get approved or get permits. Like the town was denying it, but all my neighbors were okay with it. And all my neighbors, they actually went to like a town hall meeting, and all my neighbors came and they're like, let him do it, like with their pitchforks, like we want him to do it. So like the neighbor behind us, who would be the one that's getting infringed upon, was all for it. Like, yeah, why not? Like there's plenty of room, like whatever, do it. So like, why was that an issue? What is that, a permit issue?
Cool. Good question.
Yeah.
So remember I said that when you do anything outside your house, not only do you need a building permit, you need a zoning permit. So every town has zoning laws and regulations. So they say maybe you can't build into your own backyard if you don't leave at least 30 feet. I'm just making this up. It's different for everybody's lot. So you need 30 feet from the back of your new structure till it hits the back of your property line. But let's say for the in-law suite you're putting on, the architect can only draw it in a certain size. So let's say it's being wheelchair accessible or something like that. And by the time they draw it correctly, the only comfortable way to draw it only leaves 28 feet to the back of the house. So technically that's illegal against your zoning law. So they would instantly deny that. However, what you're talking about is a variance. What a variance is the town zoning board can grant you permission for a one-time ability to break the law for a very specific circumstance. So when you say, you apply to the zoning board, you send notification to all of your neighbors, and you say, I would like permission to do this addition, even though technically it's going to be in violation of the present zoning laws. And if they grant that permission, that's called granting you a variance. Now, part of that is what you saw at a variance hearing. All the neighbors within 200 feet or anybody that might be affected by the project get an opportunity to speak, whether it's in the positive or the negative. The zoning board then take the public's opinion into consideration, but technically everybody in the public could say, let them do it. And the zoning board could still say no.
True.
And everyone out in the public could say, don't do it. And the zoning board could still give you a variance, but they weigh all the options. They weigh, how much it's infringing on zoning boards. What is your reason behind requiring or showing need for that variance? But what you're describing is, I used to be on the Emerson Land Use Board. So I was one of the guys that granted those variances for a few number of years. And that's a variance hearing.
Nice. So one of the quotes, because I've heard the story a million times, one of the quotes was like that my parents were like, getting the troops and getting the neighbors, was like the town hall guy, whoever the guy who like makes the who gives them the right or not. Like they keep joking because like one of his quotes were like, well, I don't have an addition on my house. Why should I let you have an addition on yours? And everyone was like, what? Like there's nothing to do with this. But yeah, so it was a very funny story. They got approved. The whole town came and helped. So thanks whole town. But yeah. But it's good.
Well,
good
zoning boards, what people don't understand, those are volunteer positions that are appointed by the mayor. So usually, because not only are they voting on you or me getting a variance for our fence because it's too tall or for an addition we want to put on, zoning and land use boards also are giving businesses permission to maybe not have the number of parking spaces they were supposed to have, or how big their sign could be, or how bright their lighting can be. So mayors appoint people to the zoning boards that have like-minded politics. So if you were, say, a conservative mayor that's big on expansion and economic and building development, you're going to appoint people that are like-minded. And if you're a mayor that wants to keep the town as small as possible, you don't want it to be overdeveloped, you're going to also appoint like-minded people. And those people are volunteers. You do not have to have any building qualifications to be on a zoning board. You could be a florist. You could be a housekeeper. You can be an undefeated media CEO. It doesn't matter. But you do not have to have any qualifications in the building industry to be on the land use board. It's a volunteered appointed position. So that's why you get some of those questions. People are put in a position of power. Some of them get a God complex, and some of them take the job very seriously and try to do the right thing every time. And let's hope that most of the people are doing that.
Interesting. So they got it. And then once they do get the permits, I'm sure the next thing is the estimate and what these things entail, right?
Sometimes. So a lot of times people, if you have to get a variance, you probably are getting that variance approved before you hire a contractor, because you don't want to hire somebody for a job that you're not allowed to do. Yeah. But if you're just doing a kitchen expansion that doesn't require a variance, let's say you're putting on an addition that conforms to those zoning laws, you don't need a variance. You want to hire your contractor first, because the contractor's filling out that building permit application for you and the zoning permit application for you.
Nice. So then what would be, if we're talking about estimates, what are some most common questions you get for when you're doing your estimates?
Interesting. So when I go out and do an estimate, especially for something, let's say kitchen or larger, I'm also interviewing the potential customer. I want to make sure that there's a good fit personality wise, what their expected timeline would be. We talk a little bit about budget, and that's their time to also interview me. And I get a lot of the same questions over and over again. And some of them are kind of have dual meanings. Some people ask, well, do I need a permit? So that's a good question. We already covered that. They may ask, how soon you can start, how long is the job going to take? But then I get some interesting ones that, again, I think there's not a hidden meaning, but I know what they mean when they're asking the question. So I often get asked, do you do the work yourself or do you subcontract it? Now, what they're asking is my company doing the work, or am I some type of sales guy that's basically getting them to sign a contract, and then I'm going to go find a framer, find a GC, find an electrician, and basically job out the job to somebody else, and I'm just more like a glorified project manager. That's what they're asking. But when they say, do you subcontract it? Well, the answer is yes, of course we do, because no one company has every licensed trade working for them. So if I'm doing an addition on your house, even though I have 6 employees that are going to be working at your house, I have to use subcontractors.
Yeah.
We still have to use subcontractors. We need plumbers, electricians, roofers, excavators, siders, tile mechanics. So they're not really asking that. I think if I told them, yes, I have electricians and plumbers that work for me, they'd be comfortable with that. When they're asking, do you do the job yourself or do you subcontract it out? They're asking, again, am I giving that job away? Am I finding people to do their job and just marking it up? And the answer to that is no. So I try to explain that. What else is a good one? They ask, how many jobs do you have that's going at the same time? Now we know what they're asking for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not asking that because they really care how many jobs
You're
I
working
have.
too hard.
Yeah, they're not worried about my workload. They're worried about, is their job going to be neglected? Because you hear those stories all the time. Contractor starts a job, takes off, job's vacant for 3 weeks. He's somewhere else working. I try to explain to people, we have to have a lot of jobs open because we built the company up to a size that if we're doing your kitchen renovation, my guys come in on day one and they do the demo, and then my guys leave because now the plumbers have to work for a couple of days, the electricians have to work for a couple of days, and then my guys have to come back and put insulation in the walls. But what are they doing in between? We have to have multiple job sites, and we hopefully prophylactically schedule the jobs correctly. I think that's what we have a good reputation for, so that we can have multiple job sites going at the same time, so that not only do I keep my employees busy so nobody has to stay home, but also that your job gets the attention that it needs and it has very few dead days in between. So again, it's kind of I know what they're asking, so I have to explain it like that rather than give them a number of jobs, because that number's kind of relative, right? What if I said I had 100 jobs? Well, that's scary. But what if I said I had 4? But if I had 4 and I only have 1 employee, 4 might be too much. Maybe 25 is not enough if I have 30 guys. So the number is irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. What matters is your job going to get the attention? And that's what they're asking. That's a common one. I'm trying to think. I had a couple. I made notes of these at one point. They ask, what's your payment structure? And that's a good question to ask, because back in the old days, I don't know if anybody does this anymore, but back in the old days, somebody would say, well, you got to give me a 50% deposit or 25% up front or a third, and then you pay me a third and a third. We don't do that anymore. We do what are called milestone payments. Milestone payments is when you write a check when we hit a certain milestone in the job, and you're going to write several checks over the course of a big renovation. So a bathroom, you may only write 2 checks max because it's maybe a $15,000 job. But if I'm doing your addition for $200,000, you're going to write a check when the windows are delivered. You're going to write a check when the roof is on. You're going to write a check when you see we passed the rough plumbing and electrical inspections. You're going to write a check when we're done drywall. You're going to write a check when we're done with tile. You're going to write a check when we're done with cabinets. But we scheduled that payment schedule to make you feel better. So you're always seeing something happen. You're not outlaying so much money that you're worried we're going to take off and not come back. And not that we would do that, but we structure the payment schedule so you feel comfy, cozy. A couple more things. I often get, budget's an issue. And with interest rates right now and the cost of materials, I'm doing a lot of big estimates that the job ends up getting broken down. So someone will say to me, look, we really wanted to do this addition. We got 6 estimates. They're all over $500,000. We really thought this job was going to be $300,000. So we're not going to be able to do it. But what if we broke it into phases? Does that cost more? The answer is yes, it does. And they say, well, why? You're doing the same amount of work. Well, you're really not. Think about it. So if I was doing an addition on your house with a kitchen and a bathroom, we'd be there for, say, 6 months. During that 6 months of my life, I'm going to have 6 months worth of conversations with you. We're going to have site maintenance. We're taking care of your house for 6 months. We're going to have a dumpster outside for 6 months. We're going to have a portable toilet for the workers for 6 months that we pay for monthly. We're going to have 1 plumbing inspection, 1 electrical inspection, 1 framing inspection, etc. If you break the job into 2 phases, all of that work doubles. So even though it's the same amount of sheetrock, just split in half, the management of the drywall contractor, the management of keeping the site clean, the carting of the rubbish, the number of us sitting for inspections, that doubles. So when you break a job into phases, it certainly does. It's also an economy of scale. So if the mason's there doing footings for the new deck and digging a hole for a new foundation, and part of the renovation is to patch in a little window full of brick, well, he's probably doing that little bricking in that window for next to nothing because he's there for $10,000 worth of masonry work. But if you say, well, I'm not going to do the addition, I just want to do the kitchen renovation, and the window has to be bricked up, well, it might cost $1,000, $1,500 for that subcontractor to come just to brick up that one window.
Mhm.
So it does absolutely cost more. What's interesting, what people don't know very often, pay attention to this because this happens a lot. Sometimes people are really cool about the money, but they don't realize whenever they add something to the job, they're also adding time.
Mhm.
So I'm doing your renovation and you say, hey, while you're here, can you also change all the doors down my hallway? Sure. Can you put new flooring in my basement? Absolutely. Here's the price. Do it, Norm. Appreciate it. But then towards the end of the renovation, they go, why is the project taking so much longer? You added stuff. So whenever you add money, it doesn't magically happen during the same original time frame as the original scope of work at the lower price. So be prepared. When you add money, when you add work, you're adding time as well. And that's sometimes the harder thing to accept, believe it or not, where we get a little more pushback on that than we do on the price of the extra. Can you paint these other 3 bedrooms while you're here? Yes, but it's going to add days. It doesn't happen at the same time. So those are some of the most common things we get asked when people are interviewing us for a job.
Those are very good ones. And if you at home have any ones that you want answered, you can ask them right now live. You can put a question, comment, or concern in the comments section, and we can answer it live with you today. I got one. So as much as me and you are not going to like it, the summer is coming to an end, right? Fall is quickly approaching. I know we're both beach guys. We both like the summer, but fall is coming, right? What are some things people should be thinking about? What are some projects that they should be focusing on? If you guys are following us on social media or following Norm on social media, you would see the July post where if you want something that done for in Christmas, you should probably be talking to Norm around July. That's the Christmas in July post that we had. So now we're approaching fall. What job should we be thinking about? If you wanted this whole outdoor renovation with fire pits getting ready for the fall, is that the thing to be thinking about right now, or is the boat sail? Like what are the projects that we should be thinking about now?
Yeah. So, and I don't know, but I can't speak to everybody, but for my company, we're sold out. Like there's no more work left for the end of this year. We if you want to start working with me in planning a project, we should be talking about the addition that you want to start in March or April. We should be talking about that finished basement or the kitchen renovation that you want to start right after the holidays in January while it's nice and cold outside and you give us a place to work inside. Those are what you should be thinking about now. Right now, what's today's date? August 23rd? August 23rd. And we are sold out. So unless you want something really little done before the holidays, before the end of year holidays, like maybe a new mantle for your fireplace or a little bit of trim work. The major renovations and even the minor renovations are sold out for the year. So what should you be thinking about now? Plan ahead. I want you thinking about what can be done in your house during the cold of winter and what you want to do, like that deck or like that fire pit for next spring that you want to use for next summer. Because you and I have talked before. We've had the people that call you up in June and say, hey, I want a deck to enjoy this summer. It's too late. I want you hiring me in October or November if you want to be on my schedule for March, April. If you want to be on my schedule for March, April for a 2-month deck project so that you could use it in June, July. That's just how it works. You want to be thinking 3 to 6 months in advance. 6 months in advance if your project is seasonal or requires a home expansion. 3 months in advance if it's an internal renovation like a kitchen, a bathroom, or a basement.
Awesome. Any examples that we should be thinking about now? So 6 months in advance is bringing us into the spring, right? So what should we be thinking about? Any project? What's some things that we can talk about that might strike hit the light bulb for some people? Oh yeah, I do need an outdoor fire pit. Doing my kitchen is a good idea.
Well, outdoor living spaces are big. We're doing a lot more of them right now. Whether it's a covered patio or a hardscape with an outdoor kitchen, a beverage center. So you do want to be thinking of those. The ship sailed for this year, but if you want it working for next summer season, it needs to start next March or April. So that's why you want to be getting plans done now. You want to be talking to a contractor now to make sure it fits the budget. And that's a really good example that you brought up. Same thing with any type of home expansion. If you want to put an addition, you're outgrowing your home, you have kids on the way, you have maybe elderly relatives that you need to move in, so you have to expand the home, and you want it to happen. You got to start planning now if you want us breaking ground in the spring. We got to be hired before the end of this year to be on the calendar for March or April or May to start your addition next year, which is going to be ready next September, right? Because an addition is going to take 6 to 9 months. So if you want to be in your addition this time next year, we have to almost start in February, and we can. So people worry about that. Oh, I can't start a job in the winter. You sure can. Our workload is weather driven, not calendar driven. So if it's not snowing in January, we can put an addition on. Nice. If it's not a blizzard in February, we can dig a foundation if there's not a deep freeze. So yes, weather does become a factor, and seasons are real, but we are more weather specific driven. So don't cross off a month in your head that you think we can't start, because we probably can.
Awesome. Do want to remind you guys, we are live. So if you have a question, comment, or concern, put in the comments section. We'll answer it live with Norm today. All right. So the moment everyone's been waiting for. So the title of this episode is Contractor Secrets Revealed. Do you have any dirty little secrets that you can help our viewers at home on when they're dealing with the contractor or doing their latest product? What are some secrets that you can let loose for our live viewers today?
I've been dying to say, please stop watching HGTV as if it is nonfiction. It is fictional. Look, I enjoy it. I love those shows, but I also enjoy TV game shows and Netflix series. And you have to look at it the same way. It's fiction. There's a production company staging it. You don't see who's doing the real work. When you see the star of one of those shows put on a brand new looking tool belt that doesn't have any paint on it, and the belt loops aren't worn, they're putting that on for a moment. And then what you don't see is this whole team of subcontractors and employees that come in behind it. You never see a building inspection on HGTV. So if you have the expectations that things are going to go like you see on HGTV, what you also don't see is the mistakes unless they're there for drama. So yeah, you're going to see Mike Holmes come in and he's like, oh, look at all this mold. We found this mold. We'll be your hero. And here's what we're going to do to fix it. But they don't show Mike's guy making a mistake. And guess
causing
what?
the mold.
Well, hopefully not causing the mold. But what I'm trying to elaborate is, look, when we do your job, we are going to make mistakes along the way. There are going to be things that go wrong. It just happens. But a good contractor hopefully handles it well, and we try to hide it from you. Of course we do. We want to give you that great experience so maybe you feel like it's HGTV. But what you don't see is people are going to put a nail through a pipe. People are going to hang the wrong light fixture in the wrong place. You're going to tell us a color, and sometimes the color goes on wrong, and we catch it and we fix it, and we work behind the scenes so that you don't see the drama. Because like any other workplace, you have dozens of people working for you on a big project. You got people who aren't the best. We bring in the best team as the best companies, but everybody's got an employee who may not be on the A team all the time. You got people that have family problems, and the dog ate their homework, and their truck breaks down. And I promised you that the carpenter's coming to do your wainscoting on Tuesday, and he calls me on Monday night with a reason why he can't. And I have to try to present that to you in a way that it doesn't seem like another excuse not to do your job or for us to have an empty job site, which we don't like to happen. So what we try to do as a good contractor is hide all of those little bumps and the ugliness that you don't see on HGTV, and we hopefully you don't see too much with us, but it's happening. So there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of ugliness and a lot of excuses going on behind, but hopefully a good contractor will give you a great end result.
So you're telling me it doesn't take 15 minutes to do a full renovation?
Nope.
15 easy minutes and your whole house is redone. News to me.
Yep. It's all true.
Awesome. Good stuff. Any other secrets, any other loopholes or anything that people should be doing or saying or questioning when dealing with their contractor?
Well, I get asked, sometimes people ask me, Norm, how do I get the best price out of a contractor? And I don't know the answer to that, but I could tell you how to get the worst price. How you conduct yourself as a potential client leading up to the estimate, during the estimate, and during the bidding process says a lot about what the next 6 months of my life is going to be like working with you. So what a lot of guys don't talk about, and I'm sorry, Renovation Nation, this might hurt a little bit, but we have what's called the pain in the ass tax, and every contractor has it. So if you stand us up on the estimate, oh, I forgot, or every time we try to make an appointment, life is getting in your way. Oh, I got to pick up the kids. I got a doctor's appointment. My mother is coming over that night. We have basketball on Saturday. We have baseball on Sunday. We have gymnastics on Monday night and Tuesday night, and there's never a good time to meet. And you're kind of upset or angry all the time that you speak to us. Guess what? Your price isn't going down. I can assure you that, because that's a reflection of, wow, if it's this hard and I haven't even given you an estimate yet, how is it going to be like working with you? I think that might be a window into my future, and I want to make sure we're compensated for all the time and anguish that goes along with working with you, at least who you're presenting yourself to be. That's reality, guys. And I know it goes both ways, right? So if you have a contractor show up, he's late for the estimate, or he forgets about it, or he shows up looking like really dirty or smells like a cigarette, you may not want to pick that contractor, right? So, impressions matter, and your impression to your contractor matters. Everybody think they're giving us, look, this isn't the 1930s where, we're standing in a bread line and I'm just happy to get this job to fix your 3 bricks. This is a pretty good economy right now. So most of us get to pick and choose who we want to work with. You're not gifting us your job. We want to earn your business. That's certainly important. But you're not gracing me with your presence. So be nice, be humble. And another trick, don't minimize what we do. For example, you wouldn't go to your dentist and say, hey, I need to get this filling done, but I would do it myself, but I just don't have enough time. Or, this is going to be an easy one for you, so you're probably not going to charge me a lot because I got a feeling you're going to get this out in like 10 seconds. Nobody does that to any other profession except for the trades. I have people say to me all the time, hey, can you build this closet over here? For you, it's probably only going to take like half an hour. What they're saying is, I don't want to pay a lot for this because I think it's a very simple, easy job. And if you think so, then do it. But if you're hiring a professional to do it, don't minimize that professional's value by, I don't say to my accountant, hey, can you do my very complicated tax return for the year? I do it myself, but I don't really have time. So, can you do it for me? That's really kind of offensive. You're basically saying what that person does has no value and you could do it yourself. You just don't have the time. And I don't think that's a good way to present yourself, especially if you want a good price, because human nature is we're going to give the best price to the people we want to work with. Like if I want your job, it's not about money necessarily. It's like, wow, for the next 6 months of my life, these people seem fantastic. They seem down to earth. They're very humble. They're very appreciative. That's who you want to work with. So when you're interviewing your contractor, the dirty little secret is we're interviewing you. And how that interview goes is going to affect the price you get. And if you get a price from me that's so high that it seems ridiculous, probably I don't want the job.
Probably you're acting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, your name might be Karen.
Oh man! So, well, hey, these are contractor secrets revealed. You guys are getting an inside look at the dirty little secrets. So yeah, if you're a nice, presentable person who has manners, it benefits you.
I mean, it's really simple. It's just be nice. Be nice on the interview. Be respectful, and ask as many questions as you want. We love to answer those questions. That doesn't make you needy because you have a lot of questions. It's just be the person you want to hire yourself. And then, if there's a good relationship and it feels good, a contractor is going to price the job because he wants the job. And if he seems like you might be real tough to take, that price is probably going to go up to reflect. Look, it could be, even if you took personality out of it, it's math. If you're tough to deal with, that means there's going to be more time, and time is money. Yeah. And that's how it works, unfortunately.
Interesting.
Sorry, folks. That's the reality.
Interesting. Any more dirty little secrets? That's a big one. That was a good one.
Yeah, no, that's all that comes to mind. So for contractor secrets of this episode, that's what we got to. There's stuff you don't see that goes on behind the scenes, and be nice.
Absolutely. I think that's the moral of the story. Be nice. Anything coming up events, galas, networking, anything that you want to plug that's coming up on the calendar? Anything upcoming you want to talk about?
Nothing comes to mind. I got to be more prepared for this question. You ask me this all the time, and I always have nothing going on. And I assure you that my life is not that boring. But, we encourage you. You and I both belong to a group called The Tip. We belong to two separate chapters of Le Tip. I belong to Le Tip of Paramus, New Jersey. You're in Hackensack. Le Tip is a great networking meeting. So if you're listening to this and you want to promote your business and you'd like to join a networking group, we'd love to have you as a guest at Le Tip. My group meets on Thursday mornings. Doug's meets on Wednesday mornings. We also have social events that go along with those. So there'll be some of those coming up that I could plug on the next podcast. And that's about all I have for events. Looking forward to finishing off the summer. I know Labor Day is just a week and a half away. So I don't want to wish the whole summer away yet, but I'm looking forward to a little time off for Labor Day. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their summer.
Nice. Before we go, one more thing, a little fun. I know you like to try local restaurants and food, and we don't have to dive into that completely. We don't want to get completely sidetracked. But before we go, a little fun. Anything that you've had recently that you impressed you, that you enjoy, that you want to share?
All right. Well, just so you all know, I do have a foodie Instagram account called Dining In and Eating Out. So I do TikTok videos when I'm cooking stuff at home. I go to restaurants. Everybody takes pictures of food, right? Most people, I see a lot of people taking pictures of food. Yeah. So for years I took pictures of my food and didn't know what to do with it. So I created this Instagram account so I could share my dining experiences, plug restaurants, etc. So one that I've really been enjoying, I've been back 4 times in a very short period, is Felina Ridgewood. So Felina is a very cool restaurant. Used to be a bank building. So inside you see the vault. They have a huge open space, very tall ceilings. Chef Joe and the manager Frank, they're fantastic. They'll take good care of you. And there's this fantastic scene on the rooftop. If you just to check it out, I mean, you'll think you're in Hoboken. So that's really cool. That's one that's top of mind lately. Is Felina and Ridgewood giving a little plug here from HH Remodeling.
Yeah, they got the plug today. Any dish in particular or drink that you've had there that you want to?
Drink that I have, I'm pretty boring as far as my drinks. I don't have a lot of variety, but some of the dishes that they have there, one that stands out is if you like shellfish, their mussels are absolutely amazing. They also have arancini, which are Italian rice balls, but theirs are done with sweet corn. So there's some really cool, unique dishes. They have, brick oven pizzas there, and great pasta dishes, even pasta dishes for 2. Which are outstanding. So I'm looking forward to going back because there's lots of things on that menu I still haven't tried yet, and I'm going to try them all.
Wow, there's your HH Remodeling plug of the week right there. I'm sold. I'm going to go.
Got to go. Felina Ridgewood.
I'm going to check it out. Cool. Last chance. Anybody at home, questions, comments, concerns, you can put them in the comments section. We'll answer them today. Norm, anything else that you want to add?
No, just reminding people, please go check us out on YouTube. Hopefully these guys will put a little link or something that you can click on. So you go over to the YouTube. If you're a TikToker, follow us on TikTok if you're not worried about the Chinese government siphoning your information. And I'm sure we're tweeting. I don't even know if you call it tweeting anymore on X. And we're going to be Xing over on X. I don't know if that's going to stick, but formerly known as Twitter. It's like the artist formerly known as Prince. Yep. You had to say the name anyway. But anyway, it was good to be back in the studio. I hope everybody enjoyed. Thank you, Renovation Nation, for watching the ReModCast, and follow us on our other platforms.
Awesome. Renovation Nation, we will see you next time on the HH ReModCast.